Hey friends, how are you on this nice Wednesday evening? OMG, here in Indiana, the weather is absolutely beautiful. At work today, we got an extra 15 minutes because it was like a circus type of thing. So they had a cookout type of deal, that were kind of type of foods, and I don't know. It was just a great day. So thought I'd just stop in for a moment and chat and talk about astronauts and isolation and stress and surprising things that it does for you. Hey, Barney. So they did this study. It was Japanese astronauts. Now, before I tell you about that study, there's all kinds of studies going on this year on this very subject, but I just chose this one just because it was a little bit more specific. And they had these astronauts, these Japanese astronauts, in a space station for 159 days. And what they wanted to do is measure the effects of isolation on your body, your stressors. And every morning, well, they actually did it 3 times a day, but they checked the saliva for the cortisol levels. Cortisol in a small amount is good, but in a large amount, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it has detrimental effects on your body. And so what they found was in the morning they had a rise, just because that's kind of normal, because when you get up and you're thinking about what you have to do today. But then as the day went on, it still continued to spike. Now, the longer they were in isolation and can't, get out in nature or with friends, just with their, space buddies, of course, that got more. Here's what happens when your stressors and your stress gets so much, it starts to affect your whole body. There's we know about the heart, cardiovascular, diabetes, the type 2, autoimmune problems, muscular, MS, forget how you say it. MS is affected. It can make a flare up, skin conditions. So, you know that your skin is the largest, the heaviest, and most complex organ of your whole body. It's got a really important job because it's what protects us. It's what keeps our liquid inside of us and keeps those stressors away from our, getting into our skin so much. We have stressors all around us. You've got your automobile pollution. You've got, cigarette smoke. You have just various things that's just floating in the air, which is why it's really important to wash your face. One of the reasons. But stress makes inflammation. That cortisol actually makes an inflammation response in your body. Hey, Vanessa. And what's that mean for you? Well, we talked about heart. Inflammation does affect your heart, but it also affects your skin. What it does is you've got this lipid barrier underneath your skin, and that's another area that, it's kind of like, I like to think of it as a second coat of armor that protects your skin health. And sometimes it gets a little damaged, but when we're healthy, it can repair itself. Well, when it's not healthy, and you've got too much stress, it delays that, and that's whenever you start to get things like psoriasis. And if you have the propensity to have psoriasis, or you have psoriasis, that's going to get you a flare-up. Other type of contact dermatitis, all kinds of things, and even age-related wrinkles. Hey Mary, age-related problems, because since your lipid barrier isn't healthy and it's already compromised and it can't heal itself right now, then your skin's getting thinner, and if you're over your 20s, you're not doing the collagen thing, you're going backwards on that, and it's just, you just age. If you think back to people that that has been under an extraordinary amount of stress, maybe they've lost a loved one, maybe they've had marital difficulties, or maybe they've had extreme job difficulties, all kinds of things. I bet you've heard of somebody saying, did you see so-and-so? They have aged 10 years. Or they've had a really bad sickness, like say cancer, excuse me, or some other life-threatening illness. It will, your skin will age. That's what stress, that's what cortisol does to your skin. Inflammation and then aging, because you can't repair. And remember, that's the most important, one of the most important organs, because it houses all of your other organs. So we want to think about that. Excuse me. Hey, Lindsay. The thing is about stress. We can do the Band-Aids, and we're going to talk about the Band-Aids for that skin, but we really need to get to the things that we can do to kind of make that beginning stress even more, because we don't want that cortisol just pulsing through our bloodstreams and making a difference in our bodies negatively in other ways, let alone our skin. So, in one of my other videos, we talked about patterns, how our brain is hardwired to look for patterns, and it's all, especially thought patterns. Once you get into depression, once you get into high stress, it becomes a pattern, and your brain starts looking for more stress-related activities to be upset about, to be mad about, to be sad about, and that's no good. So we want to start working on our thought patterns, and that's hard to do, isn't it? If you've ever been stuck in some type of thought pattern that you just can't get out of, like a depression, let me know. Give me a heart so I know that I'm not alone on here on this, because I've been there. I think we've all been there. So we have to start looking for some good things. If we look for something good every day, pretty soon we've got a good pattern, and our brains will start focusing in looking for those good things. So that's one thing we can do. Another thing for when you're having like super stress, you find yourself isolating yourself because you're like, I don't feel like going here. Oh, all kinds of excuses. I've got this to do and I got that to do. I don't feel like getting out. That is the worst thing you can do, because the isolation, let's think of those astronauts. They were isolated for 159 days. We are social creatures. We need to laugh. We need to smile. We need to connect to people. We need to talk to people. Hey, Janet. We need to talk to people and bounce off our feelings and help the other people. The biggest thing, when you help somebody else, it really makes a difference for yourself. So do not isolate. That, that makes me remember, that reminds me of, last 5 years has been like super hard for me. Super hard. Had hard times before that, but I had a big transition, and on top of that I had like multiple surgeries in 1 year, so therefore I was not able to really get out, and I was isolated. Guilty, Lindsay? Yes. I'm telling you, I don't think there's been one person on here that hasn't been through that. I don't believe there is. But whenever I was isolated, I just went down. I'm like, am I ever going to get well? And then I start thinking, am I ever going to be happy again? And all these crazy feelings comes through. You can imagine the stress level, cortisol. In fact, because I was so depressed and so, I don't know, I was just beside myself. I didn't know at the time the effects of stress, but I can tell you that I ended up having a reaction to the soluble, the sutures. And that would just like break open. It was like, why in the world am I having that? It was like $200 for cream. And I am convinced now that I'm reading all of these studies, these government studies, hey Bill, that cortisol was making a difference on healing of my skin. So yeah, that was scary. So I was isolated. So if you find yourself being isolated, you need to get out. Even if you don't feel good about it, get out and take a walk even, because there's something about nature that really does heal the soul. Go to church. Join a ladies group. I'm in 2 ladies groups, and believe me, yesterday I went to ladies group, and Monday I went to ladies group, and I did not feel like it. Why? Because I get up at 2:30 in the morning. I know I'm going to get home at 8:30 or 9, and I'm going to be 3 hours of sleep again. But I knew I can't isolate myself. And sleep deprivation isn't good either, but getting out is important. So I went, because I'm determined to make myself more healthier. So yeah, we don't want that. You know, another thing, whenever you isolate yourself, you're going to get or can get a vitamin D deficiency. So many of my friends have had that. You had it, I've had that. What does the vitamin D deficiency do? Well, that does quite a few things. One thing, your immune system is down, therefore more inflammation, therefore more problems. Another thing the vitamin D deficiency does is make you have a lot of aches and pains in your joints. That's no good. Hey, Nikki. So vitamin D deficiency does a whole lot, and basically it makes you feel a lot worse than you need to, and it's important for healing. So if you have been isolated, it wouldn't hurt you to take a little bit of vitamin D. I'm guilty of that. I've got to start back on mine because I've been noticing aches and pains at work and sleep problems, and that goes along with it too. Because like I said, I only get about 3 hours of sleep, and it's not just because I don't go to bed early. I just don't. So we got to work on that. Also, isolation and vitamin D deficiency. Also can make weight gain as well. You get cravings, and your body isn't metabolizing the food and the calories and the carbs like it should. And so, see what stress does? We have to do something. We are a country of stressed people. We do not need that. Let's get on a happiness challenge and make our lives better. You're not a tree, right? You're not a tree. You're a human being. What is it that's going to make you feel better? Is it a new job? Is it a new friend? Is it a new hobby? Is it what? What? Just write some things that would make you happy. So let's work on that. So now let's talk about the skin, which is the heaviest, the largest, and the most complex organ we have. We need to think about that information. So, my skin repaired 85 pounds. Lindsay, look, I had lost 105 pounds and I have gained 20. And so I have got to nip that in the bud. 20 pounds, it's really easy to keep going. And I know it's just been from isolation and the vitamin D and the cravings. Oh my word, the cravings. I got to get that sugar out. Hey, Rhonda. So what we wanted, so first of all, we want to get rid of the stress because that is your root cause. It's just like an insurance. You look for the root cause. The next thing that is make that cortisol raises, which makes, if you were stressed now, that cortisol is making you more and more stressed. That's going to affect your immune system, and there comes the inflammation. The inflammation, we was talking about your skin. Psoriasis, dermatitis, wrinkles, sagging, all of that goes along with inflammation because your body is so busy trying to fight that inflammation. It is taking a toll on your skin. Our skin care is amazing for inflammation. We don't even really talk about it that much. We talk about the peptides. Peptides is what, like stimulates some collagen. We've got our roller, and that stimulates the collagen and makes channels so your stuff can go through. But the most important thing to me is that it's like a 4-step regimen. Each step is got a specific reason it's there, and it gets you ready for the next step. Just for instance, toner. I know you've heard someone say, don't forget your toner. Oh, please don't forget your toner. Please don't, because you've got an inordinate amount of inflammation fighters right there in your toner. And that's what you want. You're wanting to get rid of this unhealthy inflammation down in there for a myriad of health reasons like we talked about before. Our creams also have specific things that take care of the inflammation. Lipid barrier. Remember we talked about the lipid barrier, and that's your second coat of armor. The outside's keeping your stressors out and all that pollutants and UV rays, with your sunscreen. Well, if for some reason your lipid barrier is compromised, say you use that evil foaming face wash, the chemical they put in that to make foam will actually damage your lipid barrier. Now, if you're stressed out, that lipid barrier cannot heal. and sometimes not at all. Sometimes it's just so very slow. When your lipid barrier isn't healing, that's when you're going to get those flare-ups of whatever skin concerns you have. That's when you're going to get the, even if you got hormonal acne, you're also going to have stressor, aggressor acne on top of that as well. We don't want that. I'm 59 years old. I don't need no dang, pimple sticking out on me. So that's another reason I, keep your stress and keep that stuff in check. We have got multiple things that takes care of that. Botanicals, have you heard of botanicals? That is just, plant-based items as well. That is good for the lipid barrier, and we have that. And even for the inflammation, like licorice root, that is really good for inflammation. We have that as well. So think of that when you're thinking about your skincare. You want to make sure it's going to take care of inflammation and your lipid barrier. And that's going to help take care of the rest of your skin. Of course, you want your vitamin A. You also want C and E with that, because vitamin A by itself can't do everything it needs to do. So let's take care of our body from the outside in, starting with your stress and ending up especially with that skincare. Get rid of that inflammation, because you get inflammation in your skin. Where else is it going in your body as well? So I hope that helps you a little bit today. If you got some kind of good out of it, share it for me, please. And give me a heart or two down there. Every time Facebook sees a heart, then more of my friends can see my video. So I hope you have an awesome evening, and I'm going to go out and enjoy it. I'm going to go out to my father's today, and of course I always go down and make him supper, but he called me and said, I still have some meat from last night, and I'm still going to go out and visit him. So have a great day. Be kind to yourself. Do something about your stresses, and don't isolate yourself. And look, talk to me. I've got some really good ideas for isolation that worked for me. All right, have a great evening. Bye.